Hey, welcome back, everybody. This time around, I'm taking part in a 30-day challenge called Ditkober, which is a 30-day tribute challenge to Steve Ditko, famous comic artist from the 60s, who's worked on Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, among many other things. And every day, there is a new prompt, and this particular challenge has been set forth by a good buddy of mine named Javier Hernandez, and I'll go ahead and put a link to his YouTube channel as well as to the Ditkober event in case you're interested in participating. This is sped up about 8 times as fast, because normally this took me about 27 or 28 minutes to draw from start to finish. So I thought I'd just go ahead and maybe share a little bit of the process and insight. Whenever I pencil, I work in red. So before I started working on this, I just did some research, looked at some references for the prompt, which is dimension. And Steve Ditko has a very, very trippy way of drawing dimensions. I've seen it before, but I've never actually drawn it myself. So this is kind of a unique challenge. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone. Well, actually a lot out of my comfort zone. And I thought I'd just go ahead and throw in a character, Doctor Strange, and just having him kind of float in from behind to kind of give it some sense of scale. And I put Doctor Strange on his own separate layer so I could adjust and move him as needed, like right now. Here I was looking at some references for how he holds his hands when he's casting a spell. And now I'm just putting a fill around Doctor Strange just so I can see what he looks like separate from his background. So my coloring approach is usually by starting out with a base color. And if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you know basically what I'll do is I'll make a selection from that base color, duplicate it by hitting Command J, and then toggling the hue saturation and brightness values by pulling up the hue saturation dialog, Command U. And I just find it a very fast way of working. Not that it's always about speed, but it's just how I color. The thing I noticed about Steve Ditko's rendition of the universe is it's very saturated colors, very trippy. Got this whole 60s psychedelic thing going on, which is kind of interesting. And so, unlike just using colors that are derived from like a base color, this is definitely took some getting used to for me. Periodically you'll see the screen turn to grayscale, and that just means that I'm testing my color values, I'm testing the tonal values, just seeing how things look. Here I need to go back and color the areas that I didn't color since Doctor Strange was covering it. I fill the foreground color by hitting Option Delete on a Mac or Alt Backspace. Here I'm using some typography from Blambot. No, I'm sorry, not Blambot. I think it's comicbookfonts.com. Both are great sites, by the way. I've used them both. I have fonts from both companies. Now I'm merging all the colors in the background onto one layer, and I'm using the lasso tool to extract portions of the colors to create highlights or light values. checking the grayscale values to see if I can push contrast. Here I'm making a border. I want this to resemble an old school comic book panel. And now I'm just playing with the value. I'm keeping Doctor Strange more or less monochromatic. I'm trying to position Doctor Strange in such a way that he's not, inadvertently forming a tangent. And I'm using some textures here. These are some, textures that I have collected over the years. You can use these textures to give your composition a sense of, texture, right? Here I'm taking a paper texture and just kind of giving the canvas a more yellowed look like you would possibly see if you were looking at a really old comic book. And the texture for the paper was from True Grit Texture Supply. I've linked to them before on this channel. It's a pretty cool set of textures. You can get that vintage comic book look, that vintage pulp look. And now I'm using color locks. So basically I've taken my ink layer and I've applied color locks so that I can only color the areas that are inked. Basically when you apply a color lock, it restricts colors to visible areas on a layer. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it informative. Thank you again for watching and for all the new subscribers. I do appreciate it. I hope that you found these videos to be valuable. Let me know in the comments below on topics that you would like me to talk about next. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.